Today, we're diving into a really powerful, maybe even counterintuitive idea: radical contentment. We're going to unpack how this ancient concept might just hold the key to a kind of wealth that, well, that can never actually run out. We've all heard it, right? From the moment we could understand anything, we've been told this simple, powerful story. More money, more stuff, more status. It's supposed to be the undisputed path to a better life. But what if that's all wrong? If you've ever felt just exhausted by the constant chase, you are not alone. What if the abundance we're all looking for isn't found by adding more, but by subtracting? In this explainer, we're going to tear down that old myth and show you a boundless kind of wealth that already lives inside you. So to get to the solution, we first need to get a really good handle on the problem. Let's start with what we can call the scarcity trap, the very reason why chasing more so often leaves us feeling like we actually have less. Think about the world we live in right now. I mean, we are drowning in digital burnout. We have hyper-personalized AI marketing that knows what we want before we do, and our social feeds are just a nonstop cycle of comparison. The whole system is basically designed to make you feel like you're perpetually behind, always needing that next thing just to keep up. And you know, this feeling actually has a name. It's the hedonistic treadmill. It's this crazy psychological trap where we run faster and faster, we get more and more stuff, only to find that our actual level of happiness doesn't really change. It's a total paradox. The whole pursuit of more just ends up making our lives feel heavier, not lighter. And that weight, it's real. It's that constant, low-level hum of anxiety, that feeling of not being enough or not having enough. This endless chase for something outside of ourselves isn't just tiring. It's a burden that is quietly but surely crushing your spirit. Okay, so if we're all stuck on this exhausting treadmill, how in the world do we get off? Well, luckily, there's an ancient alternative. Let's talk about a concept called Santutthi. Santutthi, or radical contentment, is all about finding wealth not in what you can go out and get, but in what you already have. It's a simple but really profound psychological shift, just moving your focus from what you lack to what is already right here in your life. That shift alone can create an incredible sense of relief. Just think about the difference for a second. That thrill you get from an online purchase, it's a fleeting high, right? It's gone in a day, maybe even an hour. Santutthi, on the other hand, helps you cultivate this sustainable, deep, internal stillness. It's a feeling of wealth that doesn't just disappear when the next shiny new thing comes along. So here's the crucial point. When you anchor your sense of self-worth in the here and now, instead of in your bank account or what you own, you unlock a version of success that can't be bought, it can't be sold, and it can't be lost in a market crash. It literally never runs dry. Of course, this is all way easier said than done. How do we actually take this from a nice idea into something we can practice? Well, that brings us to our third section, the art of letting go. The first step is to just identify all the psychological clutter we carry around with us every single day. Seriously, think of it like a heavy backpack, and it's filled with these invisible stones labeled status, upgrades, and just more. These aren't physical things, but man, they are desires that really weigh us down. And here's the most empowering part of this whole thing. When we intentionally let go of some of that weight, when we decide to reduce our desires, we are not losing anything. We are gaining. We gain personal power, we gain autonomy, because our happiness is no longer a hostage to things that are totally outside of our control. So when we practice this art of letting go, it leads to a really profound final outcome. This is where we discover what it truly means to have an unshakable abundance. Just look at the contrast between these two types of wealth. It's pretty stark. Market-based wealth is, by its very nature, volatile. It goes up, it goes down, it all depends on the external economy. But contentment-based wealth, that is unshakable. Its source is your own internal stillness, which exists completely independent of what the markets are doing. And the best part is you can start building this wealth right now, today, with a few tiny practices. First, just consciously anchor your worth in this present moment, not in some future goal. Second, take a minute to identify your own psychological clutter. What more are you chasing? And third, actively work to transform what you think is a lack into a deep appreciation for your present prosperity. Now, this might be the most counterintuitive idea of all, but it is so true. In a world that is just obsessed with constant growth, the state of simply being enough is a superpower. It is a real competitive advantage. When you're not constantly distracted by the next shiny object, you make clearer decisions, you're less likely to burn out, and you have the mental space to build stronger connections. It gives you a peace and a stability that most people are desperately chasing. And this radical satisfaction doesn't just benefit you. A contented mind, it overflows. It creates personal peace for sure, but it also creates this wellspring of generosity and creative energy and the resilience you need to navigate this chaotic world. So, it's time. It's time to stop running on that treadmill. It's time to trade the exhausting pursuit of someone else's idea of success for the boundless, unshakable internal wealth that is available to you right here in the now. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to reflect on. For just a moment, forget what you might lose. Instead, ask yourself this: what would you truly gain if you just stop?
All right, today we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea, one that really flips our whole definition of success on its head. We're going to talk about a completely different kind of wealth. And I'm not talking about dollars and cents. I'm talking about something way more stable: contentment. You know the line, right? More is better. I mean, we've been hearing this our entire lives. It's like the engine that drives our economy. It's the background music of our culture. More money, more status, more stuff. And honestly, it's so constant that we barely even stop to question it.
But what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if the nonstop chase for more is the one thing actually keeping us from feeling wealthy? That's the big question we're digging into today. The idea that maybe, just maybe, real wealth isn't about getting more, it's about letting go.
So yeah, today we're going to take that myth apart, piece by piece, and explore a different path. It's one that leads to a kind of abundance that, believe it or not, already exists inside you. A type of wealth that no stock market crash could ever touch. Okay, so let's start by putting a name to a feeling I think a lot of us are familiar with. We're going to call it the scarcity trap. And believe me, the cost of being caught in it is surprisingly high.
I mean, let's just ground ourselves in the world we're all living in right now. It's an age of total overwhelm. The endless scrolling, the constant pings and notifications, that pressure to just keep up, it's all leading to this massive sense of digital burnout. This feeling that we are constantly, always falling behind.
And this feeling actually has a name. It's called the Hedonic Treadmill. And it's this really weird paradox, right? We run after more stuff, thinking it's going to make us feel lighter, happier. But in reality, every new thing we get just seems to add more weight, more stress, and honestly, more complication to our lives.
So what's pushing this? Well, there's kind of this modern perfect storm at play. First, you've got hyper-personalized AI marketing that seems to know what we want before we do. Then there's social media, which just creates this relentless cycle of comparing our lives to everyone else's. And top it all off with the tech culture that has us always chasing the next upgrade. It's a recipe for feeling like you never, ever have enough. But here's the good news. There is a way off this treadmill. And the alternative isn't some new app or fancy life hack. It's actually an ancient idea. It's a concept called Santutthi, and it's all about finding the wealth that's already inside of you.
So what exactly is Santutthi? Well, the easiest way to think about it is as a radical shift in your focus. So instead of zeroing in on everything that's missing, you deliberately, intentionally turn your attention to what you already have. And the amazing part is, the payoff isn't some prize you get way down the road. It's an immediate feeling of relief, of peace, that you can access right here, right now.
Just think about the difference for a second.
When you buy something new, a new phone, a new shirt, you get this quick, fleeting high, and then it's gone, almost instantly. Santutthi, on the other hand, isn't a high at all. It's a sustainable state of being. It's a deep, internal stillness that you can tap into anytime you want.
And here's where it gets really, really powerful. See, when your self-worth is all tied up in external things like your job or your bank account, it's fragile. It can vanish overnight. But when you anchor your worth in the present moment itself, you tap into a source of value that is infinite. It literally can never run dry.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it, right? Well, this next part is all about putting it into practice. It's about learning the art of letting go.
So, the first step is just to see what's actually weighing you down. The source material calls this our psychological clutter, and I think that's a great way to put it. Think of it like carrying around heavy stones, that need for status, that constant chase for the next upgrade, that little nagging voice always whispering for more. That's the stuff that exhausts us.
And this is where it gets really interesting. It's this kind of empowering paradox. When you let go of these desires, you're not actually losing anything. Nope. It's an act of pure gain. You gain personal power. You gain autonomy. Why? Because all of a sudden, your happiness isn't being held hostage by a bunch of stuff you can't even control.
And as you practice this, you start building something pretty incredible, what we can call an unshakable abundance. It's a form of wealth that is completely 100% immune to the chaos of the outside world. I mean, just look at the contrast. Market-based wealth is, by its very definition, volatile. It goes up, it goes down, and it's all based on forces that are totally out of our hands. But this internal wealth, this radical contentment, it's unshakable. It's like having a steady foundation that is completely independent of all that chaos.
So how can you actually start this, like, today? Well, the source breaks it down into 3 little micro practices. First up, anchor in the now. That just means consciously deciding your worth is right here, in this moment, not tied to some future goal. Second, identify your clutter. Take a real mental inventory of all those desires that are just weighing you down. And number 3, transform lacks. That means actively changing how you see what you think is missing, and instead finding the prosperity that's already there.
This totally reframes what we think contentment is. We're often taught that it's passive, maybe even a little lazy. But in a world that is completely obsessed with frantic, endless growth, the ability to simply feel enough becomes a superpower. It gives you a level of clarity and resilience that people stuck on the treadmill just can't find.
And the benefits just ripple outwards. A contented mind isn't just a peaceful mind, it actually becomes a source for all these other amazing qualities. When you're not constantly chasing, you suddenly have so much more space for generosity, more creative energy, and a much deeper well of resilience to pull from when things get tough. So, when you boil it all down, it's about a simple but really profound trade. It's an invitation to swap that exhausting, never-ending pursuit of external success for the boundless internal wealth that's waiting for you in the now.
So, I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. What would you actually gain if you just stopped chasing? If you stepped off that treadmill and decided right now that you are enough, what kind of space would that open up in your life? It's a pretty powerful idea to take with you. Thanks for digging into this with us today.